Happy Father's Day. Welcome. Happy Father's Day, everyone. Welcome back to Better Together. I'm your host, Deneen.
And I'm your co-host, Sierrah. Today's episode is a special one, a celebration of fathers, father figures, and every man who has stepped into the role of guiding, loving, and shaping a child's life.
Right. So Father's Day can bring up a lot of emotions. Yeah, some for me too, since my father's no longer here. Joy, gratitude, nostalgia, and sometimes even pain. So whenever you are today, whatever your story is, we're holding a space for you.
Yes. But today we want to shine the light on the beauty and power of fatherhood, the impacts that dads have, and the benefits they bring and the legacy they leave.
Amen to that. So, first thing we're going to talk about is what makes fathers so special.
Yes.
So let's start with this. Fathers matter, and I've been saying that all day, that fathers matter. I mean, we appreciate you guys, not just in a symbolic way, but in a real, measurable, life-changing way. I mean, statistics have shown that households and interactions with fathers make a difference in people's lives, all people's lives, children, um, brothers, sisters, mothers, everything. I mean, fathers just really make a difference, and we need you.
Yes. And it says that kids with involved fathers tend to be better in school, have healthier relationships, and grow up with more confidence. We already spoke about like how self-esteem is baked in young. And I think, fathers and people being around good men like impacts that at a young age.
Yeah, I think so too. And again, it's not, we've said this over and over again. This has been always a theme in our discussions, is that it's not about being perfect. It's about being present and showing up, listening, encouraging, protecting, and teaching, specifically when we're talking about fathers.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's just a steady voice. I mean, someone to say, I'm proud of you. I know there's a lot of people that would like either parent to have said they're proud of them like one time, and it would have made all the difference. Or even if you're not necessarily the like actual father or even mother of a child, just saying you're proud of them is always beneficial.
Really, words of affirmation and validation. We all need that. Every person. That is one of the basic needs of every human being.
Yes. And I think what it said earlier about how being a father is not just a symbolic thing. I mean, I think a lot of times like motherhood can be a little more symbolic, but for men and for fathers, it's really like tactile. It's the things you do. That's what people remember about their father. They're like, oh, my dad built me put my bed together. He built me a tree house. He put my shelf up. I mean, that's a lot of ways that men show their love. So it definitely is more tactile.
No, absolutely. And another thing that we're going to talk about, would like to talk about, is the emotional impact of a father's love. There's like a huge emotional impact. We don't talk about that enough when we talk about fathers. We talk, when we say emotions, most of the time we're referring to the mother or to women, female type. But really, the emotional impact of the father's love is very significant. So one of the most beautiful things about fathers and the emotion is the emotional imprint that they leave. A father's affirmation becomes part of a child's inner voice. So, the things that you as a father say to your children, they keep revisiting it. So that's why it's real important for you to be intentional with the words that you are pouring into your children.
Yes.
What are you saying?
Yeah. And especially since men say less words, like what you do say really matters. Like you could just be like, whereas a mother may say things all the time, so you don't take it as like personally. But if you have like a father who's like, he's typically doesn't say anything, and all of a sudden you say one negative thing, you're gonna take that as like Bible.
Yeah, that's good. That's so true. That is so true. Like really, Sierra, when you bring that back up, that when you don't say a lot of words, the words that you say are way more heavy.
Yes.
So I mean, we definitely need to just remind our fathers that the words that they say really do matter, right? And you can't just joke about it, because I get this a lot with people. People will say things now, oh, I was just joking. And you're just like, once you've said it, you can't take it back, right? You know,
Mhm.
you can't. It's kind of like when you're in a court, and the lawyer will say something, and then the other person will say, I object, and the judge will say, strike it from the record. Guess
Yeah,
what? They already heard it.
it's been heard. Yes, it's
Exactly.
already absorbed into the opinions of the jury.
Yeah,
100%.
so you can't joke. You can't call your kid a big head on, just always
Yeah.
calling you a big head. I know people are still calling themselves negative things based off of what, their parents have told them.
Yes.
They're still holding on
100%.
to it.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a balance there where it's like, okay, if you say overwhelmingly positive things about your friends, your children, I don't know, like anyone in your life, and then you say one joke, the ratio has to be right. Like, because then people know you're coming from a good place. And especially, but also like when you're talking about children, like they don't understand like nuance or sarcasm. So that is like a fine line. But when you're
Mhm.
talking to like friends or other people in a relationship, you can't be the person who's constantly like jeering people and constantly making it's just a joke. It's just a joke. It's like, well, when is it not? At a certain point, if it's all you say is a joke, it's not a joke anymore. That's just you talking.
That is
So
so true.
that
That's
that
true.
that's a good thing to consider.
Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Guess what? I got to get my charger.
Oh goodness. All right. Well,
Go ahead.
I'll hold it down.
Okay, go ahead,
So
Sierra.
yeah. So dads shape how kids see themselves. We kind of spoke about this earlier with the self-esteem for daughters. Father's love often becomes the standard for how they're expected to be treated. And this is the same things for like a lot of boys, how they want to be treated by women or how they treat women is based upon how they see their mother. So for fathers, it's like a lot of daughters. It's the whole thing about girls having daddy issues, boys having mommy issues. It informs how you operate in relationships and even how you treat others. So, and like we said, this is really baked in early, and you have to consider these things. If you have a father who was, took care of you and spoke positive into your life and was like open-minded and listened, and then you would expect the same from a romantic partner. I mean, I know I'm that way. I mean, I'm expecting a man to be like a superhero, which is kind of a irrational thought, but that is better than the alternative where all your expectations from a father, if you grew up and your father was absent, silent, dismissive, then when you encounter a man who is those exact things or even has like one little nugget of positivity, then you take that and run for it. You're like, oh, okay, this is good, this is normal. So definitely fathers need to be aware that like what you're pouring into your kids really matters for the rest of their life.
No, exactly. And for sons, I don't know if you said that earlier, but for sons, I mean, father models what strength is, what kindness is, and responsibility looks like. What does that look like? The way that kid that as I guess young adults start seeing it, they see it in the home. If they don't have it in the home, guess what? They're going to get it from somewhere,
Yes.
right? And so
Yes.
we have to be really also careful about who we expose our children to. But as fathers, and what we're saying, once again, what we're saying in every area of our lives, like kids are always listening. So they're listening to your conversations with, your business conversations. They're listening to your sidebar conversations. They're listening to your conversations with your spouse, with your buddies, all those things. So they're listening. And because it's like Sierra was saying, a lot of times they're not able to critical think the context of things.
Yes.
So you have to really be careful about that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Dad, it matters what you say, when you say, how you say it. Remember
Yes.
that. I think that's
Yes.
really important.
And even if it's like, okay, it might be difficult because it's like for men and women, especially nowadays, like if you're busy providing, you may even be absent even if you're still in the home. So it is difficult to get that more one-on-one time for them to see you being more emotionally present. but just making sure you make out the time to have conversations, really listen, because I know a lot of men view what being a man is just about providing stability monetarily, and there's definitely more to it than that.
No, it's true. It's absolutely true. I think the next thing we're going to talk about is celebrating modern fatherhood, because it's changed. Just like you were just talking about, what we're used to in the past, we've been used to men just providing for the most part. If they provide and protect, we have always expected our men to provide and to protect us. That is, that's a foundational, and I think it's always going to be that way. But now, fatherhood and husband, the role of the male has evolved, right? And so some of the things is I love seeing how fatherhood has evolved. Today's dads are more hands-on. They're even cooking. They're helping with homework. They're doing hair. They're showing up at games, being emotionally available. I love that. I love seeing fathers do that. But from what I see now, here's the thing. This is like a personal thing. I've seen it go from one extreme to the other. I've seen where we used to have the women doing everything in the household, right? Now I see we have some of the women that have taken it to heart and have the men doing everything in the household. And so I think that what we have to just remind people of is there has to be some balance. Yeah, there has to be some balance. You cannot have one person doing everything ever.
Well, the best. Some people that does work, because I do know people who they said their mother was the provider, the father was stay-at-home dad, and it does work. You have to accept those things. Like those things have to be like.
But is that one person doing? But is that one person doing everything, or is that?
I mean, it could be. Everything. It depends on what you mean by everything. It's like, okay, if you're stay at home and that's your only thing, if your expectation is like, okay, I'm going to take care of the kids, I'm going to cook, I'm going to clean. Okay. Right. But there should be no like, oh, I don't know. No, this is my, and then the provider can't be like, this is my money. This is my money. What are you doing? I mean, we even saw, I don't know if you saw the clip about LeBron saying that if he got married again, that a stay-at-home mom wouldn't work for him because he doesn't like coming home and seeing someone just on the couch. And that's clearly not someone who's comfortable just being the provider. Exactly. So that's not gonna be working for him. But that type of mindset, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? It should, because in that scenario, like we know several people where the mom is the stay-at-home person, like and then the father is the provider. He doesn't see her as doing nothing. He feels like, she's providing equal to more to the relationship than he is. So it's about perspectives. So that's a big piece of it. People just have to feel they're equal.
I just think this is how I think from a wife's perspective. I just feel like everybody needs to contribute. And I think that we can't be locked into roles. I feel like what needs to be done, let's get it done.
Unless you want to be in a role. But some people want to be in roles. Some people like roles.
Yeah, but I'm saying if I'm doing what I do, right? Yeah. And then there's a void, that's where you fill in. You fill in with the voids.
Yeah.
And the voids.
And the thing is like, okay, the void, like say you're a stay-at-home mom and you're like, oh, actually, I don't have time for cleaning to the extent. Then you hire a cleaning person. That doesn't necessarily mean that the guy who doesn't clean needs to start cleaning. He needs to
fill the void.
Yes, fill the void. Yeah. So yeah, like, it just depends. You just gotta find what works for you. But something about this modern fatherhood thing, and this goes back to these male podcasts because there's so much to mine from them, is like the idea of like Nick Cannon being confronted with the fact that people are like, oh, you're not, he thinks he's providing because he has money. Mm-hmm. And he's like, all my kids are taken care of, but we're like, you don't have the time to be racing from household to household to household and give emotional support. But he wasn't considering the emotional support.
Now that's true. That's really a good point right there. when we start talking about, even these famous people saying, and people say this, you hear this all the time. People say, well, as long as they can afford them. Well, raising children is not just about affording them.
Yes.
It really isn't. And we know that because we see famous kids being broken and
Yes.
and wounded, right?
Yes.
We see that. So it's not just about how much money you can provide. But yeah, we're excited about the roles that men have started to take on. And
Yes.
well, not even start taking on, that the roles that men are willing to take on. Right. I think that's really what it's about. I don't think it's about, oh, a man needs to, cook, he needs to clean. No, he just needs to be willing to do what is necessary to make the household whole. Right.
Yes. Yes.
That's really it.
Necessary. Yeah, that's well said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway.
Like we talked about earlier, it's like kids who see men nurture, who comfort and show love openly, they're more likely to do the same themselves. And that's a good part of the evolution of modern fatherhood. I mean, I think men are definitely more open they've been told about how this would really help, and it's good for them as well to get things off their chest, because a lot of men hold things in, don't say when something's bother them, and it probably impacts their heart health. Things like that, where women were always trying to drag it out of them. So it benefits everybody for men to be more emotionally vulnerable.
Right. Yeah. Sharing their tenderness, being vulnerable, letting them know that, and we hear this all the time. Men have feelings too. Well, then show them.
Yeah.
That's show your feelings. But I know, once again, we talk about this as well. It's important for you to have a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I don't feel like I have a safe space. Well, I think that we need to start picking better.
Yeah.
We need to pick better. Why are you in relationships with somebody committed and you haven't found a safe space? Having a safe space should be part of the requirements for someone to be your mate. Same thing. Like, why, men, why are you picking women and you don't feel safe with them? You don't feel like you can tell them anything. You don't feel like you can trust them. If you can't trust someone, you shouldn't have a relationship with them. So I think that, I'll say that out to men, that make sure that you're picking right. Yes. Choose someone you can trust. And vice versa, same thing. Trust is a real part. It should be a real part of the process.
And you consider it's like how a lot of men grew up. Like maybe their mother wasn't open to hearing, their emotions or what they were thinking or things that were bothering them. Same with their father. Their father could have told them, "Oh, be quiet. Like no one wants to hear that. No one has time for that." So even when they get into a relationship, it's like, even if the woman's trying to pry it out of them, they might have difficulty, explaining their feelings. But like you said, I think that is a big component of being in a relationship. And it is difficult even nowadays for women. I mean, we also have an issue where we kind of feel like if you say something's bothering you, you're going to seem like too needy or difficult to be around. And I'm sure men feel the same way. They feel like, oh, if I tell a woman stuff that's bothering me or things I don't like, I'm going to seem like needy or weak.
Or she's going to use it against you. Oh, I wanted to remind our viewers that if you want to shout out your fathers for Happy Father's Day, put their names in the chat and we'll say Happy Father's Day to them a little bit later in the show. And we're going to be, just shout out to fathers when a little bit later in the show. We'll talk about that. So please put it in the chat so we can make sure that the father's names get out there. Okay. So I think what we're going to talk about now is honoring father figures. And so.
Okay. Yeah. So, we want to honor men who stepped up when a biological father couldn't or didn't. I mean, you hear a lot about this when like people get drafted to the NBA, people, I don't know, get into very high places in life, how they bring up like a teacher who had an impact on them. a coach, things that are beyond just a biological father, adoptive fathers, uncles, grandfathers. I mean, a lot of people are raised by their grandparents. So it's crucial to, we need to make sure we recognize about how, like, it's not just being a biological father is not the only thing we're discussing here. It's like anyone who's any man who's made a impact in children in a positive way.
Yeah, I mean, I have had a lot of different father figures in my life over the years, and they really have made a difference. And first, I think for most of us who grew up without our father in the house, because I grew up with my father, but I grew up with my father outside of the household, which I think is a lot of people are used to that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the first sign of fatherhood that you see when you're growing up is going to be like your grandfather, your uncles, right? But
Mm-hmm.
also in the church. You
Yeah.
see, you see, man, when we grew up, men did a lot of things in the church. I mean, obviously now when you in church, you see a lot of women doing things, but we saw them in the church, and we watched them, and the foundation of what we thought fathers would be came from the Bible for me. And
Mm-hmm.
that was the way that I was able to say, okay, this is how a father is supposed to treat their children. This is how, the father's love. All mine come from biblical.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I grew up with my father outside of the household, but my father was still there. And there's a couple things I just thought that think about that. Think about, what do I remember the most about my father?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I remember about my father that impact me a lot is my father was always considered to be smart.
Yeah.
Anybody knows my father is he's a Chapman, and the Chapmans, those guys were smart. My dad's brother, Uncle Warren, he was valedictorian at school, I think. And my dad was the president of everything at school, so they were considered smart. And I remember my grandmother always telling me, you're a Chapman, and so you're smart. And so that resonated with me. So what did that mean? That always meant that I had to make sure that I was representing that. So I
Yeah.
never wanted to be less than that. I always wanted to like work as hard as I could to represent that well. So that was
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I remember. And then I remember my dad. I remember my dad was a wordsmith.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had words. And this is, 50 years ago, he had words. And so one of the first words that I remember from my dad was the word bored.
Okay.
And we would say, I'm bored. Oh my gosh. And then when we found out what the word meant, my dad was like, okay, when you say the word bored, he always gave us something. And so he would make us go and find something to do and
Yeah.
be creative
Mm-hmm.
about things. And so when I think back on that, I feel like that was good because what they did was that opened the door for me to start critically thinking. That
Yes.
opened the door for me to start, finding solutions, and
Mm-hmm.
that carries a long way. So that's just what's my initial thought process about my biological dad. I'll
Mm-hmm.
talk about some other dads as we move on.
Yes.
So,
Something that I thought about is like, they're like having like male figures in your life is like it's critical, and it's not just because okay we need two people telling you different things, right? You need two perspectives, or even that you need like double the love, which is also true. I think it's just like men nurture in a different way, and I think when that's missing, that's a problem, because you can definitely have like a single mom, and she gives you full love and support. Or you can
right,
have a single dad and he gives you full love and support. But the way women nurture and the way men nurture is different, and you kind of need both to
right,
be whole. Um,
yes,
and I'm trying to think about like what the main differences are. I think women, it's more of a maybe like talking through things, whereas I think men will give you guidance on like how to get to where you want to go or something, like how to get things done.
I think what I think is, I think that a lot of the men's rearing is nonverbal. I
Yes.
think it's definitely more, I mean, physical, but not necessarily physical. So you'll find that a father will give you validation through looking at you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas their mother would say something,
Yeah.
right? So I think that when you have a father in the household, you are looking for those nonverbal cues more so. And I believe that that helps you when you go out into the world because there's a lot of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas though when you just have a mother in the household, you're looking for the verbal cues.
Yeah.
You hear, you're looking for it because she's going to tell you all the things. She's going to tell you how to do it. She's going to give you step by step. And so to me, the difference is that having a father in the house requires, just like I said about my dad, requires you to have a little bit more critical thinking skills.
Okay. Yeah. So you're like you're taking like signals on things need to be done. So like,
Yes.
okay, you like the dad will like, non-verbally communicate to their son that the trash needs to be out. And then
Mm-hmm.
when the trash isn't out, they're gonna get angry.
They give
Right?
you a look. They give you a look.
They give you a look. They might throw you around. I don't know.
No,
Yeah.
but I think that, I think that, like that's what I think about that is like even a dad might do it, whatever. He's going to show you the things to do. He's not going to necessarily tell you. So he
Yeah.
takes the trash out every Tuesday and then he's not going to be here on a Tuesday. He still expects the trash to be out on Tuesday. Whereas though a mother would have already told you, okay, I'm going to be gone. I need you to do A, B, and C.
Yes, that's
Whereas
true.
the father's going to say, they know it needs to be done. Why haven't they done it?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. That's true.
I
So
do
we
think that
definitely
that's the difference. And
Mhm.
also, another difference I think between the mother and the father is that the rewarding system is very different.
That's a good point.
I do think that. I think that, dad, women, your mother might use words to validate you, right?
Mhm.
Whereas though the dad might do a gesture.
Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like he might just, he might just pat you on the back. He might like even touch your head, something like
Yes.
that. He might
Yes.
do, physical things to
Yes.
show how he feels about you. And you start and you get that. You get it. Whereas
Yeah.
the mother's gonna talk it.
And that's like, okay, you think about, okay, a son who only has a mother involved, like he may be expecting more verbal affirmation. Whereas
Yes.
like if a son grew up with just a father, he doesn't need those words as much because he's not
Right.
used to receiving them. So
Right.
that makes complete sense.
I mean,
So,
obviously, I mean, every situation is different. Not
yeah,
all fathers are the same, but I'm just telling you from my perspective,
yeah,
with my husband and with my father. So, you just
yeah.
kind of, as my sister April would say, you take the meat and throw out the bones.
Mm-hmm.
So take the
A lot of
information.
both.
Take the information that you can use and disregard the information that you can't use, and that's really what it is with when people are presenting information.
Mm-hmm.
So I did want to say something about like consistency is love. I did want to say that. Presence is love,
Yes.
right? Fatherhood is bigger than just biology. So if you're consistent with your love and what is love? I mean, love is so many things, right? Oh my gosh. Mary J. Blige said it best. Look up that word, look up the song, What is Love? She tells you everything. It's joy, it's pain, it's a reason to live, it's a reason to die. Love is all of those things. But when you have a man in your life that's being consistent, which means you know what to expect from him,
Mm-hmm.
that's love, right?
Yes. Yes.
That's what people are looking at.
Yes, that's the biggest component. And like we said, it's like it doesn't matter about, it's like, okay, these aren't actually my children. I don't need to do anything. But it's like we all have a responsibility to pour into children. And also it's the same with, you think about your friends. Like if your friend never spoke to you, never reached out to you, never comforted you, or, then would that be your friend?
Right.
No. So
Exactly.
it's like if you're a man and you are just involved in any child's life, it makes a huge difference. And at any age, really, because you could be a 25-year-old man and all of a sudden meet a mentor at work, and they make a huge impact. So it's any age. It's not just young children. Like adult men, adult women can all benefit from, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes the man who chooses to show up becomes the most impactful father of all
100%.
because
100%.
he's accepted it. I mean,
Yeah.
what, like, I know, hmm?
Wants the responsibility.
Yeah, I think like I think we're gonna have Roger Parker Jr. on our show next week, and he's gonna talk about his raising his children, obviously, but also raising his grandchildren. He's gonna talk about that. And I know Armand always has his granddaughters. He's a granddad. He's a girl granddad.
A granddaughter dad. Granddad daughter.
A granddaughter dad.
Girl dad.
Girl
Yeah.
granddaddy.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. You're a girl granddad, Armand. And so he really is the father figure that the girls see. That's what they see. Because your granddad, I mean, that's like the father. So there's a lot of men out there who are stepping up and stepping in and doing the thing. There's a lot of them out there. Matter of fact, I know several. I know at least 3 or 4 different fathers who have raised their children as single parents. Shout out to them because we know it's not easy.
No.
And I would say even more difficult for men when, especially if you got a girl.
Yeah.
If you have a girl, I mean, I would think that it would be even more difficult. I mean, with the boys, I don't know what that is. But yeah, so shout out to all the men out there that are, doing what they're supposed to be doing for their children and for, it's not even just about raising your children. It's about being a man and having male impact in general, right? Because the world needs you. We need men role models to show our young boys how it's supposed to be done.
Yes, we need good men to impact society in a positive way. Because as we've seen, when they're missing, things are a huge, huge mess. So we need good men at every level of our society to make things run smoother. It benefits all of us. And there's so many out there that are like, either aren't given the chance or like, they're fighting against, all of the negatives we see. But there's so many men out there. But also like, shout out to the men who are adoptive fathers who have, met somebody, they already had several children and have taken on that responsibility when they didn't need to. Right. I mean, that's a huge role. And there's a lot of men who do that. I mean, we know several people who, got married, they already had children. The man just stepped up, easily with no complaint. Right. And that's really great.
Yeah, we did. As a matter of fact, one of the fathers that I think about today, I think about my Uncle Dan, and he passed away in September, and it just broke my heart because he was like a brother to me. But he had a blended family, and so he had I think it was three baby mamas he had, but he 2 of them was his wife was wives. He was married to 2 of them. And so he had kids. I think 4 kids. And they literally, you wouldn't have known that they were half brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
You thought you just knew. I mean, they were the best blended family I've ever seen. I mean, the mothers got along, all the kids got along. I mean, just nothing but love. And that came from him. Yeah, that really did come from him because he was the common denominator of all of them. There were all these individuals, but he was the common denominator. And that thing just was, it just worked so well. With so much love in there. And I can't say enough about that. That broke my heart. But he was definitely an example of a father that, knew how to love his kids, and knew how to love his grandchildren.
Yeah,
So yeah,
treated everybody equally, spread the love out as
Mhm.
evenly as he could to make sure no one felt, different or there was no distance, which is great. And it's very common nowadays. Blended families are increasingly common.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, and so we have to. So that's like another whole
Discussion.
realm of
Yeah.
parenting and relationships that we need to be equipped with, because that's the reality of what it is. So
Hmm.
another, Sierra, you're going to tell us about, and I guess we can do that now. You want to share? You want to talk to us about your father and something you remember about your
Um,
dad?
yeah, something I think a big thing about my father was like his sense of humor, and I definitely take that. I'm taking that totem and continuing it along. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that I took from him. That and like really showing up, um, providing acts of service, treating people with respect. He treated everybody, as a human being. Wasn't like judgmental or gossipy, and like those are the things I really take from him.
Yeah,
Because I think
no,
I think we're pretty similar in that way.
No, I agree with that. I mean, people really respected him
Yes.
and just thought that he was a heck of a man in all aspects. So that was really nice. But we have some other guys that we feel like that have stepped up. So Glenn Gaskins,
Yes.
Nadi's dad.
Yes.
Nadi's on the sports show. Glenn, he is like he's my kid's uncle, but
Yes.
they look at him as the father figure, and we just love Glenn so much. So we want to say Happy Father's Day to
Yeah.
Glenn.
Always has like an open heart, um, open mind. Wonders what's going on in your life. Also pretty funny. And he cooks, throws down in the kitchen, and likes to plan parties, which we appreciate.
And he loves to dress, and he loves to dress the ladies. He's always got suggestions on what ladies need to wear. So he's very attentive. So Happy
Mhm.
Father's Day, Glenn. I'm going to put
Yes.
that out there. And then I have my stepdad, James Williams.
Yes.
I want to say Happy Father's Day to him. He is, a man of God. I'm telling you right now, my faith is stronger because of him, and I just love him so much. And he
Mhm.
also puts up with my mother, so I'm just grateful for that.
Yeah, he's a real sweetheart. He's a real sweet man. You know.
He is real sweet. So we just wanted to say to all dads that's listening, thank you for your sacrifices that maybe nobody sees. We thank you for that. The long hours, right, Sierra, for fixing things, teaching lessons, being steady, place your family that you can lean on. Like my brother Jeff's like Jeff is our baby brother. Jeff Diggs. He's our baby brother, but we call him Papa because he's like the father of the group.
Yeah.
And so shout out to Jeff Diggs and Junior and Patrick, all my brothers and sisters. We shout out to all of you guys. We love you guys so much. We just want to say, thank you for the hugs, the jokes, the advice, protection, the encouragement. And thank you for loving your children, right? Thank you for taking care of your children.
Yeah.
I mean, we just can't even say that enough. So, and then if anybody, you guys have any father stories that you want to share in the chat, I would love to hear some. Want to say some shout outs to your dads. I want to see that. But for those with different father stories, we're going to talk about that a little bit, Sierra.
Yeah, it's like we want to speak to anyone who didn't grow up with who grew up without a father, or has a complicated relationship with theirs. Your feelings are valid, your stories matter, and you're not alone. There's so many people who have tumultuous relationships with like any family member. So today might not be the brightest for them, but like we said, like you got to consider like friends, mentors, people at work, other family members that aren't specifically your father or mother. You can always reach out to them for like help and
community. I mean, community. I think that we don't talk about this as much as we should talk about it. It really does take a village. It takes a community to raise children. It takes a community. And so if you're feeling like, you didn't get the love that you needed, your father was not there for you, you need to seek out community. You need to talk to, there are other men around you. Find men around you who are doing what you wish your father would do. You can find that at church, you can find that at work, you can find that at, organizations. There's a lot of organizations out there. And I would say seek those things. I think another thing that I'd like to just push on somebody who doesn't feel like they've gotten love that they should have, or their dad didn't do what they think they should have done. Well, what I want to say to you about that is every parent does the best that they can with what they have in front of them. And I think that we all need to make sure that we understand that we don't do everything right, just like somebody else might not have done something right. So give them some grace, give them a chance, find out where they are right now, meet people where they are right now. So we just want to let you know that you're loved. There's community out there, there are people out there who are open to talk to you and, give you some of the things that you feel like you're lacking.
Yeah, and the healing is possible. And I mean, healing might not even necessarily be with that person. It might not be with your father, but it could be like with your son. Like you treat your son how you wish you were treated, breaking the generations, not passing things on. Like that could be what healing is. Like healing does not necessarily mean you call up your estranged father and you clear everything up and you like forgive them. It could just be you move on, you accept like what it was. You don't take that into your, for yourself that you did anything, and just move on and treat other people with respect and kindness. And that's
the way you want it to be treated. I think that's real important. I think that instead of people harping on what their mother or father didn't do, focus on what you can do and what you're doing, right? Because too many times people are using that as a crutch for not being able to move forward and be positive. So think about all the things that you wish your father or your mother had done for you, and do that.
Yes.
Be that.
Yes.
Right. That's what I like to leave for some people, because I hear that all the time. These boys, girls, whatever, they're still hurting because their parent did this and their parent did that, and we can't change the past. And it is valid. Your feelings are valid. So we're not going to tell you not to feel, but what I'm telling you to do is you need to make sure that you are not going to be coming from a place of pain, right?
Yes. Because unfortunately, like, you want the person who harmed you to apologize and do this and do that, but some people are just not. Like that's just what it is. And unfortunately, we just got to accept it and just try to, sometimes you got to move on, because a lot of people are like, oh, if I could just get this from them, but some people are just not going to give you what you want.
No. But I think that when you accept the fact that that it's not about them anymore, you take your power back, right? You take your power back. You know what? I don't care if they don't apologize, but I'm going to be the best person I can be. I'm going to do all the things that they didn't do. I'm going to do those things. I'm going to do, so you take control of what you can control, because you cannot control anyone else. You can't change anyone. You can't make anybody do anything. You have control over who you are and what you do. So
at a certain age, you're involved. You choose who's in your life at a certain point. Yeah. Right. You don't need to be forced. I wouldn't recommend forcing anyone to involve anyone who is, a negative, continuous negative influence.
I think that's true. I think you want positive people. Yeah, you want positive people in your life. You want people who make you want to do better, right? You don't need people in your life who are pulling on you, that make you feel bad. You want to be around people who energize you, right? So I think that's important. I think that, as Sierrah said before, and father figures can come in your life at any age.
Yes.
So you don't have to, I don't care what age you are. If you're longing for that, it is out there for you, right?
Yes.
So,
and it's not a crime to want that. It's not a crime to want that. You're 30, 40, 50, 60. If you're still longing for that type of support, like it's 100% within your right to go out and seek it or like be open-minded to it.
Yeah, so we have some quotes, some father quotes that we wanted to share for in some different categories. And so the first category is some father quotes on presence. So Sierra, you're going to take those.
Okay, yeah. So a father's presence is quiet strength that echoes long after he leaves the room. Exactly. Like literally, I've spoken to people even about my father who they're like, I never spoke to him or ever heard him say anything, but I could feel his energy when I was there, and I still remember that energy. So that's 100% a thing. And then kids don't remember perfection; they remember presence. Like we were talking about, there's the person who's there matters most. The person who's there. It's not about, it's like, oh, I'm great. I did this one thing one time. Like, no, it's about consistency, who's there. And a father doesn't have to move mountains. He just has to show up. Once again, it's like showing up is huge. It's just like at work. If you feel like, oh man, I made a mistake, it's like, just keep showing up.
That's right.
Just keep showing up. That's it.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're there, I mean, if that person that's there for you, you need to value that person. So, and then some of the other quotes that I have, it's about father's love. It says, a father's love is often unspoken, but it's never unfelt. So I think that's important. And once again, that talks about what I was saying about the nonverbal cues that fathers do. Fathers will give you a look. They'll give you a nod. They might give you a pat on the back. They might give you a little pat on your knee or something like that. But all those things, that's love from fathers. And dads love builds confidence the way sunlight builds flowers. These are all these quotes. A father's love is the first blueprint of safety.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
Yeah, it is. Because when you feel safe, and when you feel safe with your father, it opens the door for vulnerability in other areas of your life, right? And you're going to look at people differently.
And you look for safety in other partners. Whereas if you grew up without that safety foundation, like you're not used to safety. When you encounter someone who's like, stable and like provides like a safe energy, it's foreign to you. So you might reject it.
Oh, that's true. That's it. Yeah, that is very true. And that's why, like, how I was earlier, I was saying you need to choose right. But you're only going to be able to choose right. You're going to be able to choose based off of what you're used to and what you've seen. Right. And that's how you're going to choose right. That's why it's important for people to continue to learn. It's important for us to continue to interact with other people so that we can continue to grow, because there's a lot of things, I've learned a lot of things as an adult that I wish I had learned as a young adult.
Yes.
So, but it's never too late to continue to learn.
Okay. And then we have on father figures, it's fatherhood is not defined by DNA, it's defined, but by devotion. And 100%. It's like someone who cares, that's a father. A father is someone who cares. A father is not necessarily just someone who, you
donated
linked to. That's the clean way of saying it. Then it's like some men become fathers the moment they choose to stay. That's interesting. 100%. Like you choose to be there. That's you being a father. Same with being a mother. Like the woman who's there is the mother, and a father figure is proof that love can choose you. That's interesting. I think that's 100% true for especially for women. Like, that father wound is really, really difficult to fight against if you have like an abandonment issue with the father. So, men choosing to stay in like children's lives makes a huge impact.
It really does. And when we talk about like a father's legacy, a father's legacy is not where he leaves, is not what he leaves for his children, but it's what he leaves in them. Right. So it's not about the exterior things and the tangible things. It's about the intangibles or intangibles. Sorry. Every father writes a chapter in his child's destiny or his child's identity. So whatever, I mean, I don't care. There are people who never met their father, and then when they do, they're just like them.
100%.
They're just like them. You
Yeah.
can't get away from it. You can run, but you can't hide, dads. You are going, your kids have a stamp from you in them, no matter what you do. No matter what you do, where you go, it's good. But a good father plants seeds of strength and grow for generations, right? So,
Yeah.
what do your grandkids look like? How are your grandkids operating? How are you interacting with your grandkids? You can see the difference.
Yes.
And then the other one we have is on guidance.
Yes. Okay. So a father teaches not by pointing the way, but by walking it. Yeah. So it's like a father. You see him doing it. You see him going to work. You see him respecting his partner or his wife. You see him treating people with respect. You see him picking up his clothes. Like, you know what I mean? That's what people remember about their father. It's not typically something they were told. It's something they remember them doing. And that requires you to be present. You know what I mean? You can't just call in and tell them something. You really have to be there to be a productive father that really makes an impact. And I mean, a lot of people have, quality time is precious. That's a big piece. And then a dad's wisdom often arrives years later, right when you need it. That is very, 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 very true. I mean, I think that's with mothers and fathers. Like, you'll wake up and be like, wait, what is this? Where is this coming from? It's something your mother or your father, planted in you when you were much younger.
Yeah, and you don't value it until you get older enough to see it.
No, I don't think kids. I don't know if kids value anything. I don't know. I don't know if teens value anything. I don't know if teens value anything. And then like when you're a young adult, you're just like, I deserve anything I get, and it's all for me. But yeah, once you get older, you really start seeing it, and you're like, oh, thank God. Thank God I got what I got. And then father's guidance is a compass that never stops pointing home. That's interesting. That's nice.
Yeah, that's a good one. And what about for daughters?
Okay, yeah, I can take this for daughters. A daughter's confidence grows in the shadow of her father's belief. This is a big thing. We're talking about the daddy issues a lot of women talk about. So it's like whatever you experience from your father is how you view yourself, how you expect other people to treat you. And that starts at a very, very young age. So, and you can always rebuild those thoughts and beliefs about yourself. But if a man can just do it right the first time, do it right when the child's young, it makes a huge difference in the daughter's life and her confidence. And a father is a daughter's first example of how a man should love. Exactly. I think that's the biggest things. Like they say girls literally date their father. Like that's when they choose a guy.
They're looking for him.
Looking for the attributes of their father. It even could be someone who looks like that man, which is even scarier. That is 100% a thing.
That's true. That'd be a good question because you know how we always talk about your man crush or your girl crush or whatever, and see what kind of women that you like, and see if it happens to be someone like your mom. I'd be interested to see that. I think so. I think for the women, I see the women are either they're looking for their father or they're looking for somebody that's nothing like their father. They go from one extreme to the other. So, how do you want to be viewed? But, for sons now, a son becomes a better man when he has seen a good man. I mean, you can say what you want to say, but absent fathers, they do make a difference in their sons' lives. Absent fathers make a difference. A father teaches his son how to stand tall, not by lifting him up, but by standing beside him. That's what a son needs, a father to stand beside him.
Yes.
I think that's really good. And then a stepfather is a man who steps forward when others step away.
Yep.
Right. I think that that I think that says it all right there.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a lot of stepfathers out there because we got a lot of people stepping away, but we got a lot of men stepping forward.
Yes.
And I think that is good. I would love to see us have another Million Man March so we could give our fathers another chance to just step up. Because I feel like men are in a different space now. I feel like men understand that, we value them and how valuable they really are. I think that they understand that, and I think that they want to do more, and I think that we need to give them opportunity to do that, right?
Yes.
So I think we're gonna close out. Do we have anybody say Happy Father's Day to their fathers? We didn't have anybody wanted to share. That's okay. And to every father figure, we celebrate you today. May you feel appreciated. May you feel seen. May you know that your presence makes a difference that lasts for generations.
Yes. Yes. And we also want to honor the men that stepped in when biological fathers couldn't. I mean, today, send the gift to your father figure in your life. Maybe a tie, take them to dinner, make sure to make that phone call. It makes a huge difference.
Right. No, it really does. I mean, and a lot of times the men are saying they don't want anything, but I'm going to say this, and we're going to close out on this last note. Just because they don't want it and just because they don't need it does not mean that they don't deserve something.
Yes.
So I'll say, make sure you're recognizing your fathers out there today, even if it's just a phone call, even if it's a card after Father's Day, whatever it is, we need to make sure that we are encouraging good fathers, yes, lifting them up and just letting them know how much we value them. So happy Father's Day, all the fathers out there. Thank you guys for watching.
Yes.
And remember, we are
better together.
Amen.
See you next week.